welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. The Reds just took a giant leap towards a 20th league title with a dismissive 2-0 win over Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. A goal and an assist apiece for Salah and Szoboszlai helped the Reds coast to victory, and while those telling contributions in attack sealed the points, the game will probably most be remembered for the defensive display that comfortably repelled the ailing attacking threat of Guardiola's washed-up side. Chants of "we're gonna win the league" rang around a jubilant away end following a weekend where everything went right for the Reds. Arsenal's home defeat to West Ham leaves the Reds 11 points clear with just 11 games left to negotiate. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm joined by Dave Usher, the editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, and the coach himself, Stu Montagu. Dave, satisfying afternoon. After a few nervy games in recent weeks, the composure and the quality was there in all the right moments today. We didn't put them to the sword as you would have liked, but in some ways the way we just brushed them aside with mostly sort of disciplined defending, control when we needed it, was almost just as satisfying. Really, really great win and satisfying as well.
Yeah, first and foremost, the points. That's massive, especially it's kind of turned the screw on Arsenal after what they did yesterday. We'll get to that later. Definitely need to discuss that. But yeah, to go there, get the points, regardless of the performance, which I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I don't think it was necessarily what I was expecting. But it was pretty easy. Apparently Slot said afterwards he wanted us to play a bit differently, have more of the ball and stuff, and yeah, so did I, definitely. But at the same time, it was easy. Like, City just never looked like they were going to score. I mean, a lot of that, I think that's down to the two centre-backs, the performances from them, because City did get in and around our box quite a lot. And, Doku's gone past Trent like a million times. I'm not even saying that as a criticism of Trent, because that's just what Doku does, and then he does fuck all once he's done it. But I do think he got some dangerous balls into the box, but like, you can't always pick someone out, but he's putting the ball into good areas. But Kanate and Van Dijk were just always there. Like, the positional play, just cutting out everything that like potentially could have been dangerous. And Alisson's had like very little to do, despite the fact a lot of the game was played in our final third. I just think if we'd have decided, let's open these up, let's go at them, I think we could have absolutely fucking annihilated them. But it doesn't really matter, because we didn't need to do that. The important thing was to go and get the 3 points, turn the screw on Arsenal, settle everyone's nerves, which, I think we've done that now. I mean, is there anyone out there who's like, other than Dan, who's like still edgy and nervy? I just read somebody on the forum saying that. Judge on the forum, who's sound, he's absolutely sound. This is not a dig at him at all. But it was funny. He said, I now give us a 70% chance of winning the league after that. And he was being serious, because he's been like really jittery and nervous and just can't, like, he doesn't want to get carried away in that, which is all fine. But I seen that 70%, and it just made me think, so does that mean you think Arsenal's got a 30% chance? Because if you were an Arsenal fan and not a Liverpool fan, you'd be looking at your team and going, I'm giving us like a 1% chance, if that. All things considered. And that's not a dig at Arsenal. I'm not criticising Arsenal. Lots of people will be. I'm not. I think there's mitigating circumstances for why Arsenal have got no chance of catching us. And it's we'll get onto it later, but they've lost the first front line 4 forwards. You cannot do that and carry on winning games. It's not going to happen, which is why when everyone was like getting nervy and all that, I was a bit nervous about how we were playing. But I actually said, I'm not nervous about us winning the league, because there's no way Arsenal are going to keep winning games. Every game's going to be a struggle for them. And they'll get through some games because they've got good players, but you're not going to do it all the time. And the irony is, like, Arsenal are like, oh, we've got no strikers. And then we just went to City today and played with no strikers, because Mo and Diaz were not playing as strikers. They were just playing as, like, wide midfielders. We didn't play strikers today. Fullbacks. We had 4 strikers on the bench. and we've gone to City and won without strikers. So, I mean, I don't think that irony will be lost on Arsenal fans. But, yes, just weekend couldn't have gone any better, could it? Drama-free, easy win for us. Arsenal losing at home in a fixture which, on paper, they should be winning. But, I did say every game's going to be tough for them, no matter who they're playing. Like, that's why I thought Leicester had a shot against them last week. West Ham, I said they had a puncher's chance. look how it proved. Now they've got to go away to Forest, and I think they could go there and get a result. I don't think they will, but they could. But if they don't, I think then they'll give up, because they'll know they're just in it looking to secure Champions League spot, and they'll have to put all their eggs in the Champions League basket, like, because that's all they've really got left to play for. If they win in midweek and we were to drop points, then they might think, well, maybe. But yeah, we could kind of just end it on Wednesday, really.
Could do. Well, to be fair to Judge, like he said, 30% chance that Arsenal still have to overcome us. The bookmakers have got Arsenal at 12-1 now, which is an 8% chance, and they're not emotionally involved or not carrying any, scars of yesteryear with
Paddy
them.
Power's paid out already, so.
Oh, really?
There is that, yeah. Right. They paid out
Nice.
yesterday when Arsenal got beat.
God.
Paddy Power paid out.
Nice. Surprised they're still offering odds on it then, really. Anyway, we're already getting off track. Stu, what did you make of our approach today? Part of me thought that it was... We didn't play Man City's reputation, I thought. Like, we knew that they weren't going to be able to hurt us as much as they have in recent times. Because if we'd have gone to City and not tried to fight fire with fire a little bit, they eventually get through you. And, teams have tried to do that a bunch of times with zero success. But I just felt that we were just really confident that we were going to be able to handle what they threw at us. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think the same. I saw when the team came out, there's a couple of questions on what we're going to do, and is Curtis going to come off the left? We're still going to play with like a 3 up. Is that what we're going to do to attack? But I think looking at how it played out, it was essentially a box midfield where you've got 2 deeper centre midfielders and 2 further forward, and then your forward attack is split. So when we're doing that press where you've got the 2 and the 4, you've got Diaz and Salah. I think Dave's being a bit unfair with the idea that they're not playing as forwards. That it's just that I'm
just having a go at Arsenal, that's all.
I know. But your out ball's out wide. So I feel more than ever today that was Slot basically saying, we own the middle. What have you got? We own the middle of the pitch. So how are you going to defeat us then if we own the middle of the pitch? If we've got the spine of the 2 centre backs that were fucking colossus today, the 2 centre mids, your 2 advanced midfielders just blocking up that midfield section and going, nothing comes through here. So you'll have to go round the side of us to try and beat us. And I think as soon as Haaland isn't in the team, you're like, what are you crossing to?
Yeah.
That idea that I think Guardiola was happy with the amount of times that they got to the byline. I think he was like still saying, I've done that for years. That's what I still want to do. But then you're trying to put a ball into an area where you've not got Haaland, you've got Foden who's dropping deep, you've got Marmoush maybe coming past him a little bit, but especially in the second half, it's so congested in there. And I mean, Neville was at it again with his just constantly trying to create this whole narrative of that's going to be a problem out there for Trent. That's going to be where the game's won and lost, and you're going to lose a few out there. I think I was looking before. Doku's got 13 successful dribbles. Then what? Like Konate's distances today were so good. He was any time he needed to come over and sort things out, he sorted things out. I felt like, especially up until the 60th minute where the offside goal happens, we felt like, do you know what? Actually, even after that, it feels like a big guy with his hand on a kid's head, and the kid's just swinging away.
Yeah,
and you're just going, like some of the lads were saying a bit in the group a little bit that we were showing them too much respect. I actually thought in that second half it was the opposite. It was that our players looked at them and went, "You've not got it in you. I don't think you've got the fucking minerals, boys. Like, you've just not got it. So what are you going to keep putting out wide and bit of a dribble into it, and we'll sort that. That's fine." And I think up until the offside goal, we felt the more likely to score on the counter when a ball went out to Mo, or Dom would make a big run to get up and get there. That's how the goal happens. Another big third man run. It was really controlled. It was really serious. I think in a way it defines why we're going to win the league this year, because we've been adaptable and we can win in different ways. And the squad's just full of people doing whatever the job is required on the day. If it needs to be one ugly, it gets one ugly. If someone just needs to get a toe there, they get a toe there. And honestly, it was funny because me and Paul were chatting earlier today about like how do you improve this team and stuff like that. And I was saying, okay, like the idea you can get at us down our left sometimes, and how that's a bit of a quandary
down
because
our
we
right.
like to keep. Down our right because you like to keep Mo high, and so it's a tactical thing. Honestly, today, what performance! What a leader! When he just decided today was a day where he was going to put more of a shift in, get back in. And I'm not. The reason he doesn't come back is not laziness; it's tactical. But today he was just like, Trent's having a bit of a hard time. I'm getting back in. Nothing. They're not getting anything down that line for the first half. What a leader! What performance!
Yeah.
Made a few tackles as well, didn't he, when he was tracking back?
Really grafted and helped out. Yeah.
I think just to follow up on your metaphor, Stu, with the hand on the head thing, my take on that was like really similar. It was almost like, when you're playing against like a young kid and you don't like tackle them immediately, you kind of like shepherd them around a little
Stu
bit.
Doesn't know that because Stu's throwing in tackles.
Right. Fair enough. Maybe you're the wrong person to ask then. But it was just
put a confused face.
You can have it. We know that we've got what we need to hurt you, and I think the comments that Slot made were probably that we did want to get out a little bit more and hurt them. But I was fine with it was as satisfying to me watching them flail and fail to hurt us as it has been watching Klopp teams like destroy them in games at Anfield down the years. You know what I mean? It was a different kind of performance, and it wasn't one after the last few weeks, Dave, when we've looked a little bit nervy at the back and given away some really shitty goals that I thought we had in us. So the composure and the maturity and just the adults in the room just really showed up for us. It was really satisfying to see.
So I was thinking at one point during the game, the way we played the other night against Villa, I think that was kind of a test run for today.
Yeah.
I think we played that system the other night with this game in mind, and obviously second time around we've done it much better. But I do think that playing that way the other night he knew the other night he was going to do that on Sunday as well. So he thought, I'm playing the same way in both games rather than just spring it on City today. I
think you could argue Villa was a better example. Like we performed it better probably against Villa because we've just because we've won today. If you know what I mean, I feel like we created more chances against Villa. We had a bit more of the play. Maybe you win the Villa game more often than you win this game on the balance.
That's just because we were 2-0 up though? We didn't need to force it then.
It changes. Totally changes the game state. Yeah.
Because and that was what was frustrating me and I was one of the ones who said about showing them too much respect. Although when you did make your point, I did think, yeah, you know what, that's there's something in that, like. But you're talking to someone who still rankles at a 5-0 win at Old Trafford because it should have been more. So you're not going to get me like going, totally overboard in praise about us playing the way we played today. And I'm not saying it's wrong at all. It's obviously not wrong. We've got the points. I'm made up. It's great. I just looked at that and thought, City is shit at the back, shit in midfield, and if we went for them, we could just tear them apart. And you're not always going to have opportunities to do that because basically every other year when we've gone there, it's been tough. Our record there is terrible, which justifies the approach that we took. And I'm not saying it's wrong at all, absolutely not. Just personally, I look at it and think, I want us to really go after them because that's where their weakness is at the back. I mean, especially like fucking Rico Lewis and that new lad on that side of the pitch. And Diaz has contributed zero in an attacking sense today. He put a great shift in defensively, helping out Robbo. He's done a really good job. He's done what was needed. But we didn't really have a threat down that side like I would have expected from him on top of his game against those players. But once we're 2-0 up, none of that really matters. And Slot saying what he said about it wasn't really how he wanted us to play and he would have liked more possession and all that. I just think the players have taken it on themselves to play a certain way because they've managed the game themselves and they've managed it really comfortably. Now, yeah, I would have liked to have seen us go at them a bit more because I do think they were so vulnerable we could have took them to the cleaners. But it doesn't really matter. And I was going to say about, like, you conserve energy by doing what we did today, but then I look at Dom at the final whistle and think he's going to play again on Wednesday, and he's absolutely fucking shattered, and justifiably so. I mean, like, the shift that he put in yet again, but he had the quality with it as well today, and Mo got man of the match, and I'm not going to argue about that, but I think Dom had a point because apparently Dom felt a little bit hard done by, didn't he? Thought he should have got it, and I think, I probably would have gone with him.
You've not seen his interview, have you?
I have. I seen it. I don't think Chris.
Oh, did you?
Did you see
it? I saw it.
You saw that? You just
Yeah.
No man has ever looked tireder. He was talking about the Newcastle game coming up. I could see him, imagine him playing Joel Linton in 3 days' time, getting kicked everywhere by Newcastle, and like he had the look in his eyes of what is it is it Sisyphus in Greek mythology who's got to push a boulder up the hill for eternity. That's what he had that vibe of, like, he's like,
absolutely.
Again, this is endless. I've just got to do it every 3 days.
I loved it in his interview where, like, the fella says, "Oh, the travelling Liverpool fans are singing, 'You're going to win the league.' Like, I know you're not going to take that for granted, but do you feel?" And he goes, "Oh, I didn't hear it. I was too tired." That's fucking awesome. But Dave, I just want to come back to something you said. Your like lack of satisfaction that we didn't win by more goals and really put a beating on them. For me, I take, and I don't know if Stu agrees with this, I take more satisfaction from that comfortable 2-0. I think Guardiola would rather us beat them 4-5 and it be one of those old school ding dong battles. Right, no. Because the game's played on his terms, isn't it? We basically distilled his ailing team down to just like nothing, right? The style of play doesn't work anymore. The players are too old. There's no cohesion. They don't look threatening. Like, for me, that to go there and do that against them after, I mean, what is it? I think we'd only won once there in the last decade or something, and that was before Klopp took over. Like, Klopp never won there in the league.
Didn't he?
So
the first time, I think, with the Coutinho Firmino.
Yeah, it was pre-Guardiola. It was Pellegrini, and I think we beat them 4-1 or something. But like, to me, that was eminently just as satisfying as a 7 or 8-0 win would have been. Just, like, there was that moment in the second half just before De Bruyne came on where, like, Maka just hunted De Bruyne down and, like, forced him to put the goal, put the ball out for I don't know if it's a corner or a goal kick. It was a corner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that just, to me, it was like, he's gone, they've gone, like, we've endured and we've come again. Like, they're at the precipice of, like, another full rebuild, and God knows how that's going to turn out with the chances and everything, charges and everything. But I just for me, it was just a real moment of satisfaction that they hadn't seen us off. We've seen them off, and when it comes down to it, outlasted them.
That's all great. I'm not saying that any of that's wrong. You feel that way. That's great. I'm happy that you feel that way. All I'm saying is I'm very much like he who dares wins, like how I want us to play. And I don't overthink this. I'm not unhappy at all. Okay. All I'm saying is there's different ways to win, and it doesn't really matter as long as you've won. I just think we could have really embarrassed them today. Now, what I would say is we've not been on the kind of run, the kind of form that would maybe justify us going in there dick swinging and saying, right, let's take them apart. So I get that. And maybe Slot's thought, I'm going to go a little bit more pragmatic here based on how they play as well. He's probably seen like loads of other teams this season do that to City, where it's like you sit in and say, what are you going to do? And then you hit them on the break, and City they haven't got the answers to that anymore, especially without Haaland. I mean, it goes back to what Stu said earlier on. Like, they did get into a lot of good situations, but without the focal point in the box for them to put the ball in, it was, it was just meat and drink to Canate and Verge to just cut everything out. So I just think, we've done what we've needed to do. We've got the points. We've got an 11-point lead, and I am not the least bit unhappy at all. If you ask me, how would I have wanted to see us play against them? I would have said, go for the throat and just fucking dismantle them, because I do think that they're vulnerable, that we could have done that, but it doesn't really matter either way. We've won, so I'm fine.
And Stu, look at it this way, right? Like, we played them in December. We did absolutely play them off the park. We should have beaten them by much more and absolutely battered them on the day. and it was both games finished 2-0. So isn't it awesome that we can go to, in what has in the last 10 years been probably definitely our closest rival, and beat them convincingly in two completely different ways.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that, like I say, I think that's a real hallmark of this team, is that it has won in different ways. It's won in, whether it's just boring first half and then you score two in the second, or a couple of games that, City and Real Madrid where they've put proper performances in and really wiped the floor with teams. A couple where you've had to dig in and it's a bit of a battle. That one there, I mean, that's probably fair that Guardiola was saying at the end of the game that he hasn't seen anyone else do that to us this season. Which is true. Nobody else has forced us back into our own final 30, and penned us in, and I think that wasn't totally a choice, but like you said, I do think the players, not the coaching staff, I think the players have looked at them and gone, it's sort of Diet Guardiola. So even though he'd be happy with that's the patterns of play he wants. I think the players have probably looked and gone, right, but you just haven't got that bite, you haven't got that extra bit. We can do this all day, and you do get that vibe sometimes. I think when you're on a football pitch of we could do this all, we could just repel you all day if we needed to. And if you look at the sort of some of the maps I've seen, the sort of pass maps and dribble maps and stuff like that, it is genuinely a force field, a semicircular force field around the area where there's loads of successful bits and bobs around it. And as soon as it comes into that zone, and it isn't just Konate and Verge. The midfielders were in there. It was, Gravenberch was doing a lot of little bits and bobs. Maka was just doing loads of little bits and bobs. Trent, Robbo, they're all just getting their toe in, getting to the things first. Especially in the last 30, it was all the little scruffy bits that you need to do. And I do understand that you can, that thing of, we could go win 4, we can go win 5, we can really embarrass these. I do quite like the attitude that we've had a little bit is a bit sort of made me think a little bit of the Goodfellas thing, where it's you want to play a bank, fuck you, pay me. You want to come and have a go, it's fuck you, pay me. Mm-hmm. Just whatever you've brought, it's just been fuck you, give us the 3 points. And so that's just it's a nice element to have as a team, to be able to dig things out, and to have lost one football match that really, with your best team all season. Maybe you could say Tottenham in the cup as well, but pretty much one game that matters you've lost at this point, and it's I just really like the team. I like the midfield. I've been saying it for months. I really like the midfield. I think they define what we are. It's just a bit of quality, loads of graft, loads of class, can do different things. I'm really happy that Dom's had a big day today, got his goals. We're just a great team. It's a really solid, serious, flexible winning machine, and it's just that element of superiority, that element of control when you're watching the game. And I think, and you are still tense when you're watching it because it's City, and I'd be lying if I said I was comfortable with them constantly running to the byline.
Yeah.
But you realise at the end of it, you are you're afraid of the echoes of City, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
That's not exactly it. Yeah.
It isn't peak City, so you are worried because you're these will get a goal in a minute, and then Konate's looking at you going, no, they're not, lads. Don't worry about it. They're not getting a goal in a minute. I think we were probably a bit more edgy. I think, just a super serious job. Really. Just a great weekend. My teams won. My teams that coach, all 3 teams won. Arsenal lost. Liverpool won. I mean, what a weekend!
Perfect. In your Goodfellas analogy, there, maybe Guardiola needs to go to Maury's wigs. And I say that even though we've got a bald manager, it was fine. We won.
Speaking of Konate, Dave, I think that he was. I mean, I looked at him and Verge today. The way how intuitive their respective positionings were at all time. I didn't think they were, when City were attacking, I didn't think they were ever more than 5 or 6 yards away from each other. It was almost like there was 2 players playing with one brain today, and they were both on a mission to sort of ensure that we weren't going to be hurt, whatever came down either side of the wing. But Konate in particular, and it showed a couple of times with his reactions to things, he was on an absolute mission today. And I think so many of our players now, like Mo especially is one of them. Like I thought, like Maka was tenacious as hell today. Was another one. Robbo was another one, and we just look like men who were gonna say weren't gonna take like anything but a convincing win from today. Like it was just so heartening to see.
Yeah, they've got the bit between the teeth, haven't they? And I think not that we needed it, but the Arsenal defeat yesterday probably just gave them a little bit of more breathing room to just relax and go, all right, like, you know, it's not been great lately in terms of dropping points, but it's not done us any damage at all. Let's just step on the gas a little bit now. And, you know, that was just like, it was just a grown-up performance, wasn't it, today? Just proper grown-up, no frills, no fuss, no drama. Just go there, get the win, take the points, move on.
Did you expect to win? I didn't really talk to you much in the build-up to this game.
No, I thought 2-2, or we might sneak 3-2 in a shootout, and then I seen our team and I was like, well, I don't like that. But then I seen no Haaland, and I thought, well, how are they really going to hurt us? So I thought that they, like as I say, I thought they were there for the taking. I looked at the back four in the midfield. I'm like, look, this is not Man City anymore. It just isn't. Like De Bruyne's totally gone. His legs are gone. He's like he's been Fabinho'd, hasn't he? He's just fell off a cliff. So they've lost that. Foden's not been himself all season. Haaland was still putting up like good numbers, but not the numbers that he was. But then he's not even playing. Marmoush looks quite lively. But the problem is, over like say the last 3 years, all the players who they've brought in have just been worse than the players who they're replacing. So you go from like a Man City team who you're playing against them and you're like, oh my God, we've got to watch fucking Mahrez. Sterling's getting 25 goals a season. Then they bring Jesus off the bench and, you know, he's a threat. And there's just danger everywhere. And then you're looking at it now, and like, you know, even with the defenders, it's like the players who they're bringing in, everyone who they bring in is not as good as the player who they're replacing. So even though he's still playing the same tactics and you can see the same patterns of play, which there was a lot of things they did today, which was just Man City, you know, you're like, yeah, that's familiar. But they're doing it with lesser players. And that's the difference.
Even like Alvarez would have helped them today, wouldn't it? Big
Yeah.
time. Like have that like focal point up front a little bit.
Yeah, because he was a good again, but that's another case in point.
Yeah.
Like, that's a player who's gone, and who've they brought in who's better than him? Nobody. So maybe in time, Marmoush might turn out to be a better player, but this is what they've been doing. It's like players have gone, and the replacements are just not at the same level. So they've as a team, they've just deteriorated, and they just don't have legs. That's the other thing, is like they look like Man City when they had the ball. You still see them doing things that you're expecting them to see. When they haven't got the ball, they're a fucking mess. You know, they don't cover the ground. The defense is wide open. Yeah, it's not good at all. And that's like because we've got a bad record there, and because it's like it's Man City. It's not really Man City. Don't be like thinking that it is. We're 20 points ahead of them.
I think that's what we did really well today, though, Dave. Like, just on that specific point, like, we didn't play the game as if that was, like, peak Man City. And maybe that's, like, a Slot thing. Like, he's coming in and all he's seen all season is this shit version of Man City, not the one that we had to battle with for 7 or 8 years that cost us 2 or 3 titles, you know?
So he's basically saying, if you play like this, they can't hurt you. It might not be how we normally play, but if you go out and you do this, and we'll set up like this, and we'll block these channels and we'll stop them playing in these areas, they can't hurt us. So that's, you know, because I mean, if we'd have played the way we played like today against peak Man City, there's no way that the game has the same outcome. There's no way. You know, we had to take it to them. That's how we always played against them. We took it to them because that was what we had to do to hurt them, like make them uncomfortable. If we'd have done what we did today against like the Man City with Mahrez, for example, instead of that fucking absolute deadbeat who they've got out there now, Savinho or whatever he's called. I mean, that in itself, what a massive drop off that is, though. What? Yeah, he scored 2 goals all season, something like that. And you think what they had with Mahrez, and now that's what's playing out there on that wing. And that's just one example. But we couldn't have played like that against peak Man City. We wouldn't have been able to play like that. But you can play like that against them today, and you know we've won it like without really breaking sweat. Other than Dom, who did break sweat, he fucking ran himself into the ground. But I think the rest of them, out Trent as well. Trent looked absolutely fucked. Understandably so, because he spent the whole game chasing after Doku after he'd gone past him. I actually thought Trent played pretty well, even though like everyone's going to focus on the amount of times he got dribbled past. He stuck to it. You know, he didn't let his head go down, and he used the ball well. He was good in possession, and his head never went at any point, even though he must have been thinking, fucking hell, not again. But there was one moment when like you could see him catching his breath at the end. It was on the 90-minute mark, and he's doubled over and he's catching his breath. And then there's a crossfield ball gets played to Doku, and Trent's like 30 yards in field, and he's had to turn and run out there, and you could see he must be thinking, oh, fucking hell. And I think it went over Doku's head and out to play. And like Trent must have just been like, yes, fucking get in there, celebrating that like a goal.
And then he was off immediately, wasn't he? Like sub straight away after that.
I said to me dad, I was like, watch this. Kwanzaa's come on now. Doku's going to try and run at him, and Kwanzaa's just going to take it off him straight away after Trent's been beaten like fucking 15 times or whatever it was. It would have just been sod's law that like Kwanzaa's just like, yeah, I'll have that. No problem.
Nice.
Did you see what Kwanzaa though? Speaking of Kwanzaa, when he just went on that big mad run forward and stuff.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was not in keeping with the second half performance. That he was just freestyling there. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to go forward here. And then like he stopped and he went back.
He aborted. He got halfway through. He's like, abort. You can see the manager looking at him.
Yeah. As you said, Stu, on a recent podcast, he kind of did it halfway and then aborted, but the big Leroy.
It was, yeah. I'm only on for 5 minutes. I'm gonna have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. So, lads, I missed the first quarter of an hour of the game today. I listened to it on Radio 5, which was... I love it when you get the chance to do that. Like, obviously, you want to be at home watching the game or at the stadium or whatever, but, like, when you do get the opportunity to have that, like, throwback to listen on the radio, it's always fun. When you're driving on a highway in South Florida, breaking a neck at 80 miles an hour to try and get home to watch the game, it's probably not best to have it on the radio. But I missed the first 15 minutes, and just as I was kind of turning onto my street, we went ahead. And for all the complaints we've had about our set pieces this year, finally, like one that we've obviously worked on the training ground comes to fruition. So talk us through the first goal.
Yeah, it's a really good set piece. It's obviously been worked on, and it's one of those as well where everything has to be pretty much bang on like that. Everyone's got to do their blocking job properly, and then the pass from Dom has to be right on the spot. The weight of the ball getting fizzed into him's got to be right as well. Yeah, just perfectly executed. I think it's interesting as well. With they've obviously seen the way that City defend things, and they've seen there's a space there that maybe they can hurt, but. Most of the players in the box, apart from Rico Lewis, who last minute sort of stops being preoccupied with Virgin, tries to get out to it. There's a few lads in there, but they're just so concentrated on holding their man that they don't attack and get out to the space. I think it's Doku and one of the other lads. All they're bothered about is holding their player. So if we're planning on blocking you, well, that's fine then, because it just looks like two players holding each other. But I think we'd done it where we had like two or three of them lined up, just holding players so that they couldn't get out to the shot.
Do you think really that's good. Why we went with that particular corner, because we knew that's what they were going to do?
I think we'll have seen that there's a space there. Do you know what I mean? If you watch a team defend a corner and they always have a man in that area, you probably wouldn't try it, would you? That I think we've probably looked and gone, where are the spaces that we can attack on these set pieces, whether that be in the air or on the floor, because obviously we've got like a massive advantage over them on set pieces height wise. So yeah, someone's obviously looked at it and gone, we'll try that one, and we'll try it on the first one because, as Carragher was saying on the coverage, you usually try it on the first one because you don't know if you're going to get another one after that. Just like
we've nicked really that from Bournemouth though.
Slot claims he hasn't.
Well, theirs was like the finish was fucking emphatic. Like, right, I think it was Christie, wasn't it? Side footed right in the top corner, but it was the same corner, near post. The same. It was Clivert done the little flick that Dom's done. Whether we've took it from them or not, it doesn't really matter. But it's a copycat league anyway. Teams are always going to do stuff like that. But I thought we tried that a couple of weeks ago in a game. It almost came off, but it didn't quite. Because when it happened, I knew I'd seen it before. and not necessarily with the Bournemouth one. So I think we have tried it before and it's not worked, but it was close. But it's like you said, Stu. There's so many things have got to work. So you've got, I think it's Robbo's blocking at the post to make sure that Dom's free, and then you've got Verge and I think it might have been Canate in the middle, making sure nobody gets out to it.
Yeah.
And then Mo gets the shot away, and it's probably going to be saved, but the deflection takes it up over the keeper. So a lot of things have got to go right for it to work. But consider
Lewis is about half a foot away from getting it as well. So it's all very fine margins.
But we've not got a good record from corners all season. So to see us do something different and that's worked, more of that, please, because the general stuff that we're trying is not really working. So think outside the box a little bit.
And in the last couple of weeks, Stu, as well, like, so if you're going to win titles, you're going to need a little bit of luck, especially if you're playing away from home against teams in the upper echelons of the league, and that's two kind deflections that we've had. Like, sometimes you just get the sense that stuff's going for you, like the Trent one in midweek as well. I think that might have been going in anyway. He hit it really well, but two kind deflections in a matter of days have helped us secure 4 points, really. So I'll take that momentum and ride it into the ground, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's also an element as well of if you're shooting from good areas, then you're going to make a little bit of your own luck. If you're shooting through a body of players from the penalty spot, okay, sometimes it'll hit someone and come out, but it's one of those things where you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the lottery. So it goes for and it goes against. I think there's been a couple for us as well that have gone against us with iffy deflections that have done Alisson during the season and whatever. It's just you always need a bit of luck, but it tends to even out over the season, doesn't it? I mean, if you look at Twitter, we're apparently the luckiest team that's ever played football. Apparently, it's just pure luck that we're the Arsenal fans definitely think that this is the luckiest season anyone's ever had, which is
ridiculous. Which
will be news to me, and and my Michael Oliver highlights tape that I've got here. It was very. If we've been lucky, then fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, where was that look last week at Goodison?
Was nowhere to be seen. Well, we should talk about them later, actually, because of the injury time decision that they were denied on yesterday morning, and all of a sudden the Premier League corrupt as fuck chance coming back out again, and you're like, okay, where were they 10 days ago, lads, when you got away with murder? But
a week.
I do actually think that was a penalty, but.
Do you?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry? No, I do. I think there were two very clear holds on the shirt from De Ligt, and then Maguire grabs his hip as well. So, there was not enough to overturn it.
You just knew it was Ashley Young. And
as soon as I saw Ashley Young in the group, I was like, it's not a penalty, lads. It's not a penalty. And I can imagine exactly where his little floppy legs are going as well as he's going over.
Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't get it. But if they're talking about not re-refereeing games, then I think there were two. There were three clear offences. There were two pulls on the shirt, different, left with his right hand and his left hand, and then Maguire grabbed him by the hip. If the ref gives that, I don't think you should overturn it. If the ref didn't give it, correct decision. But
that's the only argument for giving it. But all I would say to that, somebody made the point to me on Twitter, and it makes sense. Was they said they think the referee gave the foul for a clip on his feet. A trip, and because on the VAR they kept showing the angle for that rather than the angle from behind where you can clearly see the shirt pull. So the way it works is we're getting sidetracked here, but you brought it up, so I'll carry on.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
So
we'll deal with it quickly.
So the way it works with VAR is the referee will, when he gives a decision, he says what he's seen, and then they look at it, and if it ties in with what the referee's seen, they don't get involved. So in theory, if he said there's a trip on Ashley Young and they look at it and there is no trip on Ashley Young, but there is a hold of the shirt that's not enough to send him to the floor, which it wasn't, there was very little in it, then they can say to him, look, there's no trip, do you want to go and have a look at that and reassess your decision? Now, if he'd have said, pulled him back by the shirt, it's a penalty, I don't think they can get involved there, and if they have, then that's the wrong thing to do, because there is a share pull. Whether it's enough to send him flying the way it was, obviously it isn't. But if the referee is given that as a penalty because of a pull on the shirt, VAR can't really then get involved. But because he's got hold of a shirt, so that's factual. So that comes into the clear and obvious thing, but it depends what the penalty was given for to begin with. And unless like Howard Webb does that one when he's with Michael Owen in a couple of weeks' time, we'll never know what it was given for. But I think if he does talk about that, he may well say the referee thought he saw a trip and there wasn't one. And it's because of the way Young threw his legs up in the air. It looked like a trip on first view, but it's not. There's no contact there. It was like on the shirt. But it was just hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny.
At least we've done 5 minutes on that, yeah.
So back to our game though, Stu. I saw a stat popped up on my screen on 25 minutes, and they had 72% of the possession, and we're kind of sitting quite deep, still looking comfortable, but we're sitting in very, very, very deep. Are you kind of concerned at this point that we're kind of like playing with fire a little bit, or are you still feeling quite comfortable?
A little bit. I think the thing that always concerns me at times like that is the idea that if they do scab a goal from somewhere, can you go up a gear? Can you change what you're doing and get back into getting on top and being intense and things like that? But because of the nature of who they are this year, like when Dave was saying before, like we couldn't have played that way against Old City, and he's right, we couldn't. But the reason we couldn't is because Old City wouldn't have let us just have Canate just stood on the ball, just deciding what he's going to do with it, waiting to be pressed by Foden. So the game was played at like a sort of a lower pace, a lower level of intensity because they haven't got they can't inject intensity into it without the ball because they haven't got the legs to do that. So then we're happy just sort of. I think we've said before in the pod where Klopp was very much go and get the ball off them, go and force yourself. Slot is very much we'll keep it. You come and make a mistake and leave a gap somewhere, and we'll play through you that way. And a few times, even when it was quite slow, it'd be 3 passes and you were through. It'd be centre back, midfield, and if the pass was right, you're in for like a 3v3 or 4v3 or something. So I wasn't concerned because I did feel like we were still playing the football match that we wanted to play mostly. Maybe I'm wrong listening to Slot after the game. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he wasn't happy with that. But I felt like mostly we had it in our hands, and it was one of those where they'd have the ball more than we did, but we were more likely to kill them when we went through, if we got a chance. Do you know what I mean? Once we were the wrong side of their midfield, their tracking back was terrible. Like once you pass them, the cavalry's not coming back for the defence. So I was thinking that even though we were having to do a bit of work defensively, even though they had the ball quite a lot, once we cut through, it was like we're probably going to do these again before they score against us. I think if you ask me which was the most likely, up until 65 or whenever the disallowed Curtis goal is, I think we're more likely to cut through them because, and you know what? Even those moments when we would break out and go forward, there's this stark contrast we talked before. So there's the one, I think it's second half, gets played forward, Salah's on it, Dom gets forward, Dom does a little back heel on the edge of the area to try and put Mo in. Yeah. We've lost the ball. By the time City get to the halfway line, Dom is now our deepest midfielder. Like he has caught the ball, run past it, got back in. He was the furthest man, and he's now back behind the ball by the time they've got to the halfway line. That was the difference between. I just felt like that was always going to be the difference of slow. We've sped it up. We're probably going to score a goal, or we're going to get a chance. And if we don't, we've got the intensity to get back in, and then we're back to slow. Like we were the only team that had the extra gear, and I thought that was probably going to get us a third goal. And even in the first half, I thought we're more likely to hurt. Like Dave says sometimes at corners, like we're more likely to score on your corner than you are. We're more like once you're all up in our half, we're more likely to cut through you and score than you're likely to score against us. So,
which we did with the second goal.
Yeah. It feels counterintuitive because we're not used to it. We're used to having the ball, or we're used to being worried when City have got it in our half. So you had that muscle memory where you were a bit, these might get a goal. But like we said before, they sort of didn't. They didn't have it in them. They didn't have that quality in them. So, yeah, if anything, looking back on the game, I was a bit edgy, but I was wrong to be edgy. Like, that was muscle memory, really, that was making me edgy. And the lads did sort of have it in hand, it felt.
Well, Dave, the one time that they did sort of get a clear look at goal was the offside goal that Mamouche put in. Good finish by him, but he's comfortably offside, and our lads know that. Yeah. So, just to go back to Stu's point about us looking more likely, a couple of minutes later, we beat their press really well. A few passes, and it comes out to Trent. He can't find anybody with a cross. I feel like he should have shot there. He had two defenders to navigate with getting the ball across for a cross. And just the goalie to beat with a shot. So I felt like he should have gone for the shot there, but it didn't matter because 3 minutes later, it was so fucking easy, that goal we scored, and it was Trent again.
Yeah.
And just talk us through that one.
It was really easy, but going back to the other one, he had two players we could have cut it back to, and there was a lane there to do it.
Yeah,
the ball across the box is not really on. There's defenders there, but I think it's Diaz and Curtis. There's two players who've hung back, and there's nobody.
Difficult to get your head up in that situation.
Yeah, but it's Trent. You expect him to do that because that's what he does. So it was surprising that he didn't get his head up and pick someone out, because he's not one for normally just firing it in blindly and hoping someone gets on the end of it. But yeah, he could have cut that one back, but he's not seen it. It was a lovely move, but again, that's the kind of thing. That's why I'm saying about. We could have just took them to the cleaners if we'd done that a bit more, because every time when it felt like we just stepped it up a little bit, we did something like that. And the goal is we just made it look so easy. It's the ball down the line. I think Dom's caused a bit of confusion because he's offside. And City, I don't like that rule, because City defenders are looking at that going, oh, he's off. But Mo isn't. And then Dom just puts his hands up and is like, well, I don't want the ball. It's not, it's nothing to do with me. And then Mo's in. And then Dom ends up getting the goal, even though he was offside to begin with. But that's just the rules now. I don't like the rule, but that is the rule, and it's it's
today
a
we like
goal.
It.
Yeah, today. Also on that goal, another thing to point out: Curtis was a fraction away from fucking that up for us, because he's miles offside and he's almost in Ederson's view. And I actually thought if Ederson had sold that to the referee and gone, because when you look at it from behind the goal, Ederson's moving across sort of behind Curtis and the ball goes the other way, so Curtis doesn't impact on it. But if Ederson had kicked off and pointed at him and started saying he's offside, he's in my line of vision, goals have been disallowed for that. That could have been problematic, but Ederson totally gave himself away by just throwing his head up as if to say, I've been beaten there, and he never made anything of that. But yeah, Curtis, that run that he made right in front, he's miles off. Dangerous. It could have fucked things up there. But it's a nice finish from Dom. He's just wrong-footed him, and well deserved for the performance, and yet another assist for Mo. So, how many minutes was that when we got the second goal?
37.
So, in 37 minutes, Mo's got another goal and another assist in the same game. It's it's happening pretty much every week. I think that I read that it was the 11th time. I've got about at least 20 messages from Paul. He's still bombarding me with them now. He just keeps seeing all these stats on Twitter, and he's sending me links to them all about Mo's broke this record, Mo's done that. There's fucking loads of them. I'll read some out just to keep Paul happy, but this is going to be maybe 25% of what he's actually sent. Honestly, there's at least 20 messages, at least.
I'm going to sit back, put my hands behind my head, and just lean.
Right, let's read out a couple. So he's the first player to score 25 plus and register 15 plus assists in a Premier League season. First player to register 40 plus goal involvements in 2 different seasons in the Premier League. First to be directly involved in 50 goals across all competitions in Europe's top 5 leagues. He's the first to score and assist in 11 Premier League games in a season. It's the most by any player in any of Europe's big 5 leagues since Messi in 2014-15. First player to have more assists in 24-25 than any other Liverpool player has in a single Premier League campaign.
Fucking hell.
So that's
in the
including
same team as Trent as well.
And that's also including Gerrard back in the day as well, with all the assists that he had. What else have we got? There's a couple about Arne Slot as well, but I'll stick to Mo for now. He scored and assisted a goal in 49 separate league matches in his career. Since Opta of this data available from 06-07, only Messi 102 and Ronaldo 65 have done more. Now that staggered me, because I don't think Ronaldo's played 65 passes in his entire career. Never mind 65 assists. They must be like shots that have come back off the goalkeeper and someone scored. There's no way. I'm just not having that one. I need to see those 65 assists before I'm having that.
But it just goes to show, though, doesn't it? Like, you know, some of the players that you mentioned there, you mentioned Messi twice, you mentioned Ronaldo. Like, I think he's that level now. Like, the body of work that he's done over his career, the way he's adapted his game in different ways, those two players did that as well. Like, I think like the question was asked to Mo by the Sky Sports reporter is like, are you better now than you were ever? And he was pretty humble about it. He said, some people prefer my first season, some people prefer now. I definitely think he's better than ever, just because of like the all-round genial footballer he is in terms of like everything that he brings now. I'm
going to cede the floor to Stu in a sec, and I'm just going to put my feet up and see how he wriggles out of this one. but what I would say just on that, because I was thinking this myself when I saw the interview, like Mo first season as opposed to Mo now. Obviously, first season was like more explosive. It was like the young, exuberant, just like flying machine, scoring 44 goals and that. This Mo is a different animal, and he's more effective because he's still putting up maybe not quite the same number of goals. I don't think he's going to get 44, but he might not be that far off it. But the assists are just off the fucking charts. Now, he wasn't doing that before. Now he's doing both, and you know, it's I would say short-haired Mo looks different, you know, and I know he looks different because the short hair, but he just looks like a different player. He doesn't look like the Mo that has always been here. You know, it's just his body language, just, you know, the leadership role that he's taken on. He's just like, I don't know, he's just like a talisman now, and like a team player. And it's not that he wasn't a team player before, but a lot of the focus was on like what he was helping the team by just scoring a loads of goals and being Mo. Now he's helping the team in various different ways. And it's because he's grown as a player, and also maybe because he's not quite the flying machine that he was, where he could do all of that stuff. Not that he's still quicker than most, but he's adapted, and now he's just, even today, he did what was necessary. He still got his goal, still got his assist, but look at the defensive shift that he put in as well. You know, so would he have done that in his first season? Well, he wouldn't have been asked to do it because Klopp wouldn't have set up like that and played like that, so it's moot. But yeah, I'm having this version of Mo rather than first season Mo, and I never thought I'd say that because 44 goals in a season and it was so exciting to watch. This is different, and I actually prefer this version.
On that specific point though, before we hand over to Stu, and I'm sorry Stu, I just wanted to pick up on something Dave said, like about how he's more of a team player and he doesn't have that explosive, like, just beat everybody with pace anymore. Do you remember a couple of years ago when we were like, he couldn't get past anybody, could he? Like, I think he's kind of recovered from that now in the ways that he has, and he still has that explosivity at some times. But can you imagine the humility it takes as a footballer like him to realise, like, hey, this isn't working anymore? And we'd call it out on the pod all the time, like, Mo's just having the ball taken off him really easy. Yeah. You're almost like, it's almost like Kobe, like in the off season, you go and like reinvent yourself, and you like he's kind of reinvented himself as a footballer to be this just sort of all round genial, as you say, talisman that you know, just does whatever you need, goals, assists, whatever. Like, nobody in Europe's matching him. They're not, and I'm sure like with those stats that you're pointing out, no one else is even close either. Like, I'm sure he's like absolutely fucking streets ahead of everyone. But yeah, like time for Stu to squirm.
Yeah, humble pie.
Humble pie, motherfucker. No,
you always complain that we misquote you, so now get yourself on the record. Go on.
Yeah, because you totally do. Okay, so I think it's really interesting the numbers that Mo's doing this season. I think you watch a game like today, and he's incredible today. He's when the ball comes up to him, constantly sticks. He's constantly a danger. Carries the ball up, doing like just really solid, like helping us get out. Almost in a weird way, like a wide target man.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit like that's what he's developed into. I think the numbers are incredible. Obviously, not trying to diminish the numbers. I think it is a little bit this new Mo though. It's a bit of a function of the way that we're using him. Of that he stays high and we use him as our out ball. And we use him as the guy who gets us up the pitch. So I think the numbers he doesn't get these numbers. This Mo doesn't get these numbers with Bobby and Sadio, because the team would play a different way. The team would play out to the left more. The team would play up through Firmino more. I don't think it's the same thing, especially maybe the goals. I don't think the assists. I don't think those numbers would be as high playing in a different team. I think a lot of that, I was saying today, a good example for me is the Trent assist midweek, is the idea that Mo gets the ball because we've kept him there. He's the guy who's going to get us out. He's going to get us up the pitch. He drives up the pitch, gets bundles into someone, bit of a tackle, does an unsuccessful dribble, lays the ball. But when we're now up on the edge of their area with Mo, lays the ball a couple of yards inside, Trent scores. So it isn't necessarily, that isn't one of those where he's picked an amazing pass out.
That's his first cheap assist of the season. Every other one's been like put on a plate for someone.
I'm telling you, they won't be. Honestly.
It feels like it. Most of them are proper assists. That one the other night was a rarity. Come on,
we'd have to
disingenuous. This is why we say what we say.
That's fine, but it's the reason he is it's a function of us playing that way, though, that he is the guy who's going to get us up there. So even if you then say it was a genius pass with the outside of his foot, that's fine. That's how the team's set up. The team is set up for him to be up there to do that. So I do think you have to just be aware of that when you're talking about how do we possibly replace this and how do we do, how do you improve this? There's pros and cons. It's like I was saying, it's the blanket can only cover your head and it can't cover your head and your feet. So you have these things. So that's why we don't ask him to come back in and defend.
Mo's just a really long blanket, though, Stu.
He is a very long blanket. He's a very long golden blanket. I get that. But there is a thing, and I do think there's a difference as well.
What kind of blanket doesn't cover your head and feet? You're only about 5'2".
Oh, sorry. How's the basketball career going? You're a giant, are you?
Well, next to you, yeah, I look like fucking Shaq.
I'll still be you in the air, 10 out of 10.
I think Shaq and Kevin Hart. I'm still next to you.
I'm trying to make a serious tactical point here, David.
Go on.
And defend myself against these slurs that my solicitors.
The blanket analogy the blanket analogy is going to come to fruition. Trust us, listeners.
But I do
blanket's a handkerchief.
Because I want to be clear as well, because I know that I can hear Paul Natton's teeth grinding.
Yeah,
I can hear it from here now in Manchester. It's that idea as well that when I'm saying this, I understand it's tactical that Salah does stay high for a reason, and that Mbappe is not getting back and helping Trent out the way that Salah did today. That's why I was saying that's really thought it was an incredible shift, and he does the right thing. That real leadership of coming back in. It's just that some of these numbers, they are a bit of a function of the way the team plays, and you do have to be aware that sometimes teams where individuals have amazing numbers don't win things. Like it's the saying today, the list of those 10 best individual goal and assist performances, that you keep seeing. More of those players didn't win the league than did. Thierry Henry,
like Harry Kane.
No, he's not even on it. He's not on it. No,
okay.
But there's Van Persie on it. The year he didn't win the league. There's Thierry Henry on it. The year he didn't win the league. There's Andy Cole on it. The year he didn't win the league. This idea that because your team is prioritising this one person doing all the output, you just have to be a bit careful of that sometimes, and that sometimes it can be the function of a team playing through one person. That's all. I'm totally not diminishing. His season's been incredible. He should win the Ballon d'Or, I would imagine. Like he is incredible, but it is this idea of just want to be sure that when you go in, how would we possibly replace this? You'd play a different way. Liverpool Football Club has always had a forward that gets 30 goal involvements. Always, literally always.
But
as a function of us being this club.
Those players that you mentioned, though, they deserve to be talismanic, and there's no guarantee that we could bring somebody in we could funnel our play through as well as we can with Mo. And I get what you're saying, we can play a different way, but man, it sure is easier when you have someone who's as good as he is.
No, it is, and listen, it's going to bear out because you're going to win a league title. We might win a Champions League as well. It's going to bear out that was a successful way to play football this year, and no qualms about that at all. I'm just saying that when you look at how we were having the conversation this week of how do you improve this team, and you go, okay, well we could probably improve on Darwin's missing a lot of big chances. Can you get someone in to do that? I mean, if you're looking for a number 9 that's going to be clinical, we've got one. We've got Jota. Like, you're probably not going to look around world football and find a number 9 that's going to be more clinical than Jota when he's fit. It's just the way we are playing. You're not going to have Mo's numbers and then the numbers go up somewhere else, is what I'm saying. You're moving things around on where your goals are coming from. We're at like 2.4 goals a game or something at the moment. You're not keeping Mo's numbers and also adding numbers elsewhere significantly, I don't think.
How do you feel like Sadio Mane would get on with this version of Mo, like peak Sadio with this version of Mo in the team?
I mean, I think he would be incredible because he's an incredible footballer. I think he'd probably get a bit miffed if the ball kept going out to the right all the time. I mean, I can't remember. I'd have to look back and see pressing wise. I seem to remember when those three were flying together, they were all aggressively pressing. I don't think Klopp didn't give a younger version of Salah license to not do that work. So he's incredible. So he would be incredible in any team. I'm just conscious of the fact that the whole narrative of we're reliant on him. I sort of hate that idea that like, oh, you're reliant on him. It's like, you're not reliant on him. We are playing a certain way through him deliberately, and that is why we're winning football matches. The idea that you couldn't play another way if he wasn't available, or if suddenly he leaves and then you've got to buy another right winger, obviously you're going to miss that. You're going to miss that big game mentality that you get today. You're going to miss those numbers constantly there. But the idea that you're reliant on him, it's not, no, like, he's part of a winning machine. We've decided we're going to go that way a bit more, and like, okay. And we've done that because he executes so often, because he is such a volume monster. We're like, yeah, we've decided to do this. We decided to put a lot of our eggs in the Mo Salah basket, and we're probably all going to get to lift, shiny things and get medals at the end of the season because of that. But yeah, I just push back a little bit against that argument of you're reliant on him. It's like, it's not quite that, if you know what I mean.
I think both things can be true. I agree with what you're saying, but I do think that we have relied on him too much as well.
Well, moving on from the Mo segment, with Stu giving zero credit to Mo as per usual. Just in stoppage time, and you talk about Premier League greats and someone that you have to reference in that conversation, like among the definitely top 10, maybe top 5 players in the history of the 30-odd year history of this version of top flight football. And you're talking about Kevin De Bruyne. And it's stoppage time in the first half. The stoppage time's already out. We're looking at Anthony Taylor to blow the whistle. De Bruyne gets the ball. The shot. And it goes out for a fucking throw-in. And obviously I wasn't alive when this happened, but growing up with the VHSs, watching all the videos and stuff, and you watch them on repeat, and little bits of commentary are like ingrained into your brain. And when that went out for a throw-in, I got the like John Motson 1980 David Johnson. Oh, that's the championship.
Yeah, that was mad, that shot. It was so funny because you do, even though it was on his left foot, you do not want Kevin De Bruyne shooting. No. You just don't want it. And then he does that, and you're like, what the fuck was that? That was worse than Jota's sliced one the other night. It was fucking.
His face was amazing as well, though. His face was like, fuck me, what was that?
Yeah. No, as I say, he's been Fabinho'd because his legs have just gone.
Yeah.
He's got his plane booked to Saudi Arabia, hasn't he? I think
He wanted to go last summer, and I slagged him off a bit for that. But I think, on reflection, looking at it, it's like he knows he's done, and that's why.
Yeah,
he just
legacy
wanted
protecting, right?
Yeah, legacy protecting, getting the payday, and not having people see him like this, because he's an absolute shadow of what he was.
Is that really the country he wants to live in with that complexion? I mean, whew, that is some sun cream, Bill, you've got there.
As a freckled man myself, and a former ginge before I went white, I can get on board with that as well. Says the man who lives in Florida, but anyway. So halftime, 2-0 Dave, we're absolutely sitting pretty, and there's not really anything to worry about, is there? Like, it's not like we're going into the second half thinking we've got to do this, and this. It's kind of just like, keep doing what we're doing and hit them on the break. And we should, you're thinking we're going to increase our lead rather than seeing it diminished.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I was expecting more goals. I thought they're going to get more desperate. They're going to, commit a little bit more forward. They'll get tired. We know they haven't got the legs. The longer the game goes, it's going to get worse. I mean, look, when they made the substitutes, they basically just sent on Dad's army, didn't they? And it's like, there's nothing to be worried about there. It's like, you just know, you think we're fitter than them, we're stronger than them, we should be able to just run all over them. And like I say, we could have done if we'd have chose to do that, but we didn't need to. We just kept the 2-0. I think maybe if we get the third one, maybe that changes and maybe the players start to think, actually, you know what, let's have a bit of fun. But while it's 2-0, they just did the professional job. But now half time, it's like there was nothing to worry about, was there really? It just felt we're going to add to this rather than we're likely to get pegged back, because the fear factor just isn't there with City now. It's gone. This is not Man City, and like I said before, we're 20 points ahead of them. There's a reason for that. But yeah, the second half, I mean, the first 5 minutes I thought we were awful, and then they had like not clear chances or anything, but I'm like, what are we doing here? We weren't getting out, and then we settled, and then we had the disallowed goal, which is unlucky. But it's what Stu said before though, like Dom makes that run. Where were City's midfield players when he makes that run? There's nobody at all like bothered about tracking the run. He just runs in behind, and I felt like we could have just done that at will today, because nobody was tracking those runs. And it was a bit like Tottenham, really. No one tracked his runs against Tottenham away when we scored 6. I suppose like there just comes a point where like if you're a midfielder and you're up against him, you're just like, you know what, fucking centre backs, you fucking deal with him. I'm sick of fucking chasing up and down after this cunt.
I've never seen anybody like him from that respect, ever in my whole time watching
Craig
football.
Johnston
I'm not sure if
is the only one that I can remember. Craig Johnston was like that. He never stopped.
That's before my time watching football, but
he's so good.
Stu?
He's so good. I just think if all the players on the planet were in a hat now in a draft, given his age, given what he's capable of, like he's a first draft pick. I really do think at that point he's at that point now. Where
how many teams are drafting? Just Premier League teams.
Let's say a division of 20. I think if you're looking for how many years you're going to get out of him, and you're looking to build the future of a club, stroke franchise or whatever, there aren't many players that you'd be going. I get it if you want to pick the big hitters, but in terms of building a club and players that you'd want there for the next 5 or 10 years, he's really high up the list of people I'd be picking to
I don't
build
think he's a first round pick.
I think he's close. He's one of the most important players for the team that's going to win the Premier League.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Go with that as you are.
People are going to prioritise goal scorers though when they're you're not drafting a centre in the first round when there's quarterbacks available.
Let me reframe it then. Like, is there anybody?
Virgil's a first round pick
at 32, 33?
I don't think at that age.
Like,
I don't. Think.
I was going to reframe it and say, like, if you were drafting from our current squad, who would be your number 1 pick?
Oh,
would that be Szoboszlai, Stu?
It's whether am I looking to win next season or am I looking to build a franchise? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, if you're drafting, then you're looking to build a franchise.
I think he's close. I think the potential of what he can give you for years and years is scary. Like even when we're sort of were criticising a little bit of he could take more on in the attacking third and stuff like that. I just think he's a physical monster who scores goals, gets up, scores free kicks. Like, there's virtually nothing he can't do. Nobody else deserves a medal any more than him. I think he's been one of the big hitters that's just done all the graft and got us there. And yeah, I just think he's not underappreciated because everyone appreciates him. I think everyone knows how important he is to what we've done. But,
I can hear Brownie's teeth grinding now.
Yeah. Fuck Brownie.
Paul would obviously go.
Yeah, that Brownie.
Right?
Fuck you.
Paul would pick Trent.
I've got to go straight to the second
Dance.
round for obvious reasons. Well, my first round pick's gone, you know who that is. So I'll go straight to the second.
You're getting sacked as director of football for picking him first round.
I am. But I'll hold my head up high as I leave.
You're like that Giants.
Suarez in the second
you're
round.
Like that Giants GM who's like who was trying to pick. He was laughing at picking or letting Saquon Barkley go. Nah, why do we need Saquon Barkley for? We got Darwin Núñez.
No, I'm
anyway,
the Bears
that's
drafting Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, there you go.
Trade
oh man, that's sad to hear you say that.
No, I think that's an interesting one, but who else would be in contention? Well, Gravenberch, for his age as well, he's got to be in the conversation there.
Paul would pick Trent.
Mac is only 25.
Konate's
one of the
top four or five defenders in the world
I think
right now.
Konate's my pick.
He's fucking amazing. He was so good today.
Yeah, I think Konate's what I would go with.
You've essentially
Mac is only 24. Fucking hell.
Yeah, he
is. It's like 40.
I know.
Yeah, paper round in Basra.
That's his Celtic heritage, though, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Plus all those years he has to deal with Kevin laying traps around the house for him. Fuck's sakes. Micro Machines again.
Fucking paint can in the head again.
Who's your pick then, Chris?
That is a really tough one, though. I probably would think, given the way the game's going with the athleticism and he has the quality to back it up, I would struggle to look beyond Szoboszlai, I think.
Yeah, Konate for me. Centre-backs are so hard to find, as I keep saying.
I know, but they're injuries and stuff.
He's not being bad.
If they're in the draft room, they're going to be looking at his injury record and thinking...
Whereas Dom's machine-like in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Has he had injuries since he got here?
Let's not.
No, fucking hell. What did I say that for?
Yeah. Give it 5 years, his legs will just fall off.
He did look like that in 90 minutes today, didn't he?
Yeah. He's going to look about 90 in 3 seasons' time.
Oh,
he was...
that just reminds me of something, so I'm going to get it in now before I forget. I don't know if you've seen it, Chris. There's an interview with Jamie Redknapp interviewing Verge.
No.
It's on YouTube, so have a look for it. It's really good. And he's saying about Mo and all the things Mo does to prepare and keep himself right for games, and after games, what's your routine? And he said, "Do you have a routine to Virgil?" And he said, "So after we're doing this the day after the Aston Villa game, so you get back say midnight. So what do you do?" And Virg says, "Well, so it's a midweek game, so we get back at midnight." He says, "I go home. I have a swim." Obviously, he's got a pool in his house. He said, "So I have a swim and then I have a sauna." He said, just to keep the muscles working. And Jamie Redknapp's looking at him, and Jamie Redknapp goes, "We used to just go to Paradox." And I'm like DiCaprio pointing at the telly. I'm like, yeah, I used to go to Paradox on a Wednesday as well. Oh yeah, and he just went, different times.
Yeah. And that is why when people want to slander Szoboszlai, they call him Jamie Redknapp who can run.
I think I'm the only person who's done that, to be fair.
Oh yeah? Okay, fair
Jamie
enough.
Redknapp
I didn't know that
pace. It was me, yeah.
Alright, okay. Fair enough. Was the Paradox the one that's on by Switch Island kind of way?
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah?
It
was like a big tower kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's sad, isn't it?
Mm.
I knew we'd have to have some downer on this podcast today. I didn't think we'd be talking about the Paradox nightclub, but anyway, I think, Stu, the only time that we really looked under sort of any threat today, after the disallowed goal, it was, to be fair, it was a few minutes after that, but we had a sloppy 10 minutes where we couldn't seem to get on the ball. We were a little bit inaccurate with our passing, and they put the pressure on a little bit more. But then thankfully, and I'm not saying it would have been any different otherwise, but Slot pressed the endo button and then like normal service was resumed.
What a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy.
The tackles on the edge of the box he was throwing in.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. Just.
Do you see him like sprint onto the field though? Like, it gave me so much heart seeing him just like, he's so ready at all times. I fucking love him.
Yeah. I want the winning goal. If it's not going to be Joe Gomez, I want us to win the title with a thumping endo header off a corner or something. That'd be amazing to wrap it up. I love the guy. Even when you see the photos of them coming into training, they're all wearing daft shit to come in the morning. He's just there, just trainers, jeans, jumper, just coming in, doing my job. Yeah, fucking love the guy. I thought he did well. Another one of those, just putting your body in the right areas. Just as soon as Trent was beat, there's someone else. He was in that little pocket there helping out. I think Neville mentioned it in the commentary when he was saying, when you have days where, you know, someone's trying to run you all day, you do need people to come over and help you out. And that's what a team does, sorts those things out. I think you're probably right that they'd got a bit of a bump from the goal that was disallowed. But it's weird the way that happens. That it feels like it's a VAR. That's one of the things that kills me with these VAR goals, these offside goals, is it happened against Villa. The crowd, because the liner doesn't put the flag up, they get a goal. The whole crowd's up. It just changes the whole atmosphere of the ground. Yeah.
They almost got one right after as well, didn't they? But they had a good chance.
Yeah. So I mean, I suppose that would happen if it was just given as offside, but maybe it isn't because it's like a big moment where everyone gets to celebrate, and it's like, oh, we've scored. It's 3-0, and you're waiting, and it's like, no, it's not 3-0.
Did you see Curtis after that?
Yeah, he was like getting everyone going
because he knew.
He's like, come on.
No, that was good because he knew like momentum can change there.
Yeah.
Well, it did last week, didn't it? So we have very recent memories of that coming back to cost us.
He looks good. That Marmoush does look dangerous, doesn't he? He got in a few times. It was a good finish on the goal that's offside. I think they've signed a player there, and also he's like pushing everyone off free kicks and stuff, isn't he? You can see he's got a bit of balls about him. I think he might be a big player for them. He was the one threat that they had probably that you thought he might do something.
Yeah, the only threat really.
Yeah, but other than that, not too worried at any point, I don't think.
I was a bit worried with Doku just purely from the law of averages point of view.
Yeah.
Because he was, and again, I'm not even criticising Chen because I think this is what Doku does. He just goes past fullbacks, and it's like, how do you stop it? It's really difficult to stop, but nothing usually comes of it. Like, his numbers are awful for like goals and assists. They're terrible numbers for someone who looks as dangerous as he looks. Most of the time it leads to nothing, but if you keep getting in them areas and putting balls across the box, there's always a chance that, like, you know, it bounces off somebody, falls to someone else. So that was the only thing I was concerned about, was like, if they're going to score, it's going to come through him just getting to the line and squaring something, and maybe something falls their way. But apart from that, like, Marmoush did look like the most accomplished player, but I didn't feel like he was going to hurt us. It was Doku was the only thing in the back of my mind. Maybe he might do something. Grealish can't even get on the pitch now. I mean, fucking hell. What an absolute, like, waste of talent that is.
Yeah. He looks like he's wasted as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like a Soccer Aid player.
Yeah.
Do you know who else looks like a Soccer Aid player? Just getting off topic here, but that's Xerxes. Xerxes looks like
Kevin De Bruyne.
No, he's but give him like a year or two, and he literally will be, won't he?
Xerxes looks like he was on like the X Factor in like 2007 or something.
He looks like someone from Diversity's just playing on like in a Soccer Aid match. That, you know, that's what he looks like. Just the way he carries himself, the way the socks are, just his build, everything about him. He just does not look like a footballer.
But that's what I keep saying, like, people aren't being fair to him because he's been played out of position, because he's actually a front row. So what do you want him to do?
Yeah, you could actually see him, like, you know, taking a pass and like just running down the wing and then just laying it off like proper rugby player.
He's not a number 9, he's a prop.
So we're getting towards the end of the game, and I mean, personally, I was gutted that the Curtis goal was ruled off, because like that just little show of like, look at us, like in front of the away end, Curtis just stood there like nodding, and there's like a slight bit of cockiness that comes through as well, and it's like, I think the third would have put definitely put the cherry on the cake. There was another opportunity towards the end where Salah does really well to thread Dom through. It's a really good block by the defender, to be fair, who gets back across and cuts it out. But, you know, like, I was watching the final, like, 5 minutes where we sort of, we tucked back in again. And the one thing that was on my mind is that if we concede now, Dan is going to be fucking fuming. Like, it's going to ruin his day if we concede now. He's going to be absolutely gutted.
Yeah, but if we'd have conceded then, you would have been shitting yourself for, like, the last couple of minutes, because it would have just been, like, a siege, wouldn't it? But we never looked like conceding. That was the good thing. What do you make of Anthony Taylor today? No yellow cards for anyone, just barely noticed them.
It wasn't a very high intensity game, though, was it?
No.
It wasn't smash bang wallop, was it? So there weren't that many key decisions to make. I don't think. I'm trying to think of any flashpoints.
Easy game to referee, but then do you also think that that's partly because of the way he referees it? You know, sometimes games get out of hand because the way referees, you know, they're giving stupid free kicks and stuff. So I don't know. I think like he's by far the best referee in the league now. It's not even close. Which is bizarre because a couple of years ago I thought he was awful, but no.
The redemption of the Baldy Mank referees.
Yeah, I think he's a really good ref now, and I wasn't even though he's a Mank, I was not worried that a Mank referee was refereeing Man City v Liverpool. That's gonna be like the first time ever that wasn't even like a factor in my head. I seen Anthony Taylor's referee and I'm like, yeah, I'll take that as long as it's not Michael Oliver. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, drop points in every single Michael Oliver game, haven't we, this season? 3 times.
Have we really?
Yeah, drop points in every single time we've had him. We've only had him 3 times, and we've dropped points every single time.
We've only won 6 out of 20 with him. Now, in fairness, you can also make the argument that he only ever gets like the big games, so it's not like he's refereeing us against Luton or something like that. It's usually like the big games.
Well, this year he's had Forest and. What was it? Everton.
Yeah, but again, no big game.
Yeah,
even
the other one wasn't a big hitter either. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't a big game. No, don't think so. He's not. How
many games have we dropped points in overall? 7,
8, is it something like that? Half.
How many draws have we had? We've dropped points in half. So half the games we've dropped points in, he's refereed.
Yeah.
And he's only refed us in 4 games, right?
3, I think. I think 3, and we've dropped points in all of them.
Wow.
I think in the last 20, it's won 6,
Michael.
Lost 6, and we've drawn the rest.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And we had inside information that he hates Liverpool, doesn't he?
Yeah. Can we discuss that?
I don't think so, no. I don't think we can.
All we'll say is someone we know spoke to someone who'd spent time with him, and he said he fucking hates Liverpool. So
anecdotal, obviously.
Allegedly, anecdotally, but
not making any accusations there. No, I mean what you said is fine, but like, you heard some anecdotal evidence that he doesn't like Liverpool.
Yeah,
which is,
from one of the members of the pod was talking to someone.
Okay.
So any good lawsuit. Yeah. Not our views. The views of.
Nice. So, final whistle goes. Celebratory atmosphere at the end. Like the away end. That's one of those away ends that you would just love to be in, because most of those lads have been in that away end when. We've had a bit of a chase in there, like the Sadio 5-0 red card one. Like, it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us for a long time, and just like Anfield hasn't been for them. So it's just like great scenes at the end, and everybody's jubilant, and we're fucking 11 points clear, lads.
Yeah.
Nice. Who had put it this way? Who had in their mind this weekend that we were going to end this weekend 11 points clear? Because I certainly didn't.
No, I didn't.
No,
that's good. I think I could see us winning. I couldn't see Arsenal dropping 3 points against West Ham.
Yeah, I could well see Arsenal dropping points. I felt like them losing was maybe a bit too much to ask, and I wasn't sure that we'd win either. So, yeah, I thought we might draw, they might draw. which would have still been a good weekend because they can close the gap. Because they'll have been looking at that. You've got a home game against West Ham and Liverpool are away at City. Arsenal kind of look at that. Chances are running out. There's not that many opportunities for them to close the gap. This was like one what you'd have penciled in thinking, yeah, that's a weekend when we can make some headway. And instead, they've fallen 3 points further behind.
Should be really good for the Newcastle atmosphere as well. The idea that we've got the 3 points now doesn't really, if we get 1 point, fair enough, but we want 3. Everyone's in celebratory mood, 11 points clear. I just feel like it really gives us a bump as well for that, a boost.
And then
Can you imagine
the Forest as well? The score could come through from that.
Yeah.
Do we kick off at the same time?
No, they kick off at 7:30. We kick off at 8:15. So it'll be half time in their game when we kick off.
So that's even better then, really.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll know all that.
And they're playing third away from home. We're playing 6th at home. So like they definitely have the tougher fixture. Even though, like you look at Newcastle and you might think that that's a tougher opponent. Like I certainly don't think so. The way Arsenal are at the moment, like Forest will just invite pressure onto them, knowing that Arsenal can't hurt them very much, and then bang bang, my boy Chris Wood.
Well, your boy Jared Bowen yesterday as well.
My boy Jared Bowen, what a guy! Fucking love him. I wish we'd signed him. Like, well, yeah, I think we could have like the talk of not having, and it hasn't really mattered because he hasn't really needed that much rest down the years, but like having a backup like him, and I think he could also drop in and play that right side midfield role as well. He's just fucking ace and versatile and awesome, and he's better than West Ham, I think, like a lot better than West Ham.
He's kind of stuck there, though, isn't he, with the Danny Dyer thing?
He kind of is, yeah, as well. I saw a video the other day, actually, when they were talking about, like, it was an interview with Danny Dyer, and he, like, the father, Danny Dyer, not the daughter, Danny Dyer.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like...
so weird.
He was just, like, asking him about the song that the West Ham fans
I've
sing.
seen it, classic.
Fucking ace. He's like, well, first of all, it's accurate, you know? He is on fire, and he's shagging Danny Dyer. And then he goes, sometimes when I'm down West Ham, I start the song myself. Fucking amazing.
I love Danny Dyer, he's fucking boss.
No, he is, absolutely. He's one of those, like, little sort of, like... cultural treasure, like little UK cultural treasures, isn't he? Like he's just fucking rules.
That David Cameron one's amazing.
And he's a sweat
with his fucking trotters up.
Oh, what a guy!
What a guy! And you know, we love him even more now. Like Alf Garnett's back in our good books after all that racism. You know, Trevor Brookin, God rest his soul. Katy Perry in that West Ham thingy that she had on that time. All is forgiven.
Russell Brand's still a twat though.
Oh yeah, I can't forgive that.
Yeah,
I can't forgive that.
Definitely.
So shall we get on to Newcastle then? It seems like the right time. We've been going a good while. I mean, I'm looking at that now and I'm thinking we can just ride this momentum, Stu, and like maybe even extend this lead further and put it to bed.
Yeah, I'm really happy with getting the 3 points today because it sort of means that Wednesday's a bit of a free hit. We're not going in there tense and pressured that we need to definitely win that game, and because if they turn up, they can be a twat of a team to play against. They've got a really combative midfield that make things hard for you. They've got threats up top. The one thing I think that sort of limits them or means that they aren't probably up at that level of the good Champions League team is the defence, and the keeper aren't that great, because obviously if you've got like Isaac, you've got Gordon, you've got a good midfield, you're a danger. So I think it'll be interesting to see what he does after that, whether he rotates it a little bit. Surely some of the midfield boys have got to get a bit of a rest, or maybe because it's the last before we've got a big gap, isn't it? So maybe he just tells everyone to go again. Maybe there's no rest, and maybe we just straight into that game.
Do you not think we go back to 3 up front?
Yeah, I think probably, yeah, with it being at home and I think the whole vibe is, the whole thing's set up for a real party atmosphere, a real celebratory atmosphere. Obviously, it's a night game under the lights. Everyone, people having a beer before they go there. Feels like Anfield should be rocking. I'm I'd be pretty confident now on the back of that. I'd be pretty confident of a good performance. Maybe not a win, but a good performance definitely. Where we're on top and we're putting them under pressure and stuff like that. It would be, like you say, it'd be lovely for us to pick up 3 points if they don't, and then it's a long way back. I mean, it's not doable for them anyway at this point. As Paul mentioned, I did the numbers of last week, and they're not getting to like 85 points. They're just not getting there, and we need to win a game, draw a game, win a game, draw a game till the end of the season, and we're on 86. So
Paul's fucking sitting pretty, isn't he, after his passionate defense of our position after the pod on Wednesday night.
I mean, he was right though, wasn't he?
He was bang on, wasn't he? Like, we were all fretting, and he's like, they're not good enough, and B, we are. So, I listened to that and I was thinking no, I'm not quite sure about that, Paul, but that's been borne out at least at this point, given this weekend's results. And Dave, there are these times at Anfield, and I think Wednesday night will be one of them, when the lads have had a big result on the road, and they come out to warm up for the game, or they come out, before the kickoff and stuff, and they get a really sort of rapturous reception. I think Wednesday night's going to be one of those. The crowd's going to be absolutely up for it. They're going to be welcoming the boys home, really, really getting behind them. There's beef. There's a little bit of beef with Newcastle. Certain games over the last few years, and I think we're going to put them to the sword. And I think as fans over the last few weeks, and it's kind of maybe our natural inclination to imagine the hardest scenario where we look at these games, and I think Villa the other night was one of them, and I'm looking at the league table now and we're 22 points ahead of them, right? But I'm looking at facing 5th place Newcastle, and we're exactly 20 points ahead of them. It's not. There's nothing to fear there for us. There really isn't.
No, all that there is to fear is that there's a lot of teams in the league who, when they show up and they're on form, if you're not quite there, they're going to give you problems. And Newcastle is definitely one of those teams because the attacking talent that they've got. As Stu said as well, they've got a really solid midfield. But there's a reason why they're 20 points behind us. So if we go out and play the way we should play, then we win the game. There's no guarantee that will happen. Maybe we have a bit of a come down after winning today. I don't think so, but it's entirely possible. But yeah, it's just a good position to be in, because we're not going into that with massive stress of, we've got to win. We're neck and neck at the top, and this is, I've been saying this for months. The major factor here that people need to just take into account is we're not up against prime Man City. This is not that kind of season. This is a throwback to when it was okay to draw 8 to 10 games in a season. You'd win titles by doing that, as long as you restricted the amount of defeats you had. And even back then, sometimes you'd win the league with 6 or 7 defeats. So it's not Man City warped all of that. That's not what it is anymore, and that's why there's certain things about our performances had me a little bit concerned, but like I kept saying, I'm not concerned about the title, because who have we got to be scared of? No one is chasing us down. We're not going to get chased down by anyone.
7 wins puts us on 85 points.
And we've got 7 games at Anfield. 7 of the 11 games are at home as well. That's another thing that needs to be taken into account. 7 home games. So, I mean, it's to me, it's not a case of will we win the league. It's a case of when will we win the league. So we're already, we had this chat before about which games are going to be, and, what would we like it to be and all that. Personally, I'm thinking I would love it to be the Everton game. That would be perfect. So we need Arsenal to drop off a bit more, drop some more points, and then that would be the perfect scenario after what happened at Goodison. If they've got to come to Anfield as we were to clinch the title, imagine that. Probably a little bit too soon, but it's not out of the question. I don't think.
2nd of April.
Yeah, I know it's in April. So problem is, we don't have any games in March, do we?
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a frustrating March, isn't it? I mean, obviously we've got the Champions League to keep us occupied, League Cup final, good problems to have, but only having 1 Premier League game in a whole month after having 5 in 14, 15 days is
So it's not going to
insane.
be possible to win it against Everton, is it? It's going to be way too soon, unfortunately. never mind.
Like you say, Dave, you said the other night, end of April, which means Arsenal have to give us a guard of honour would be nice.
Yeah.
Have no pressure going into that game is my aim.
Do you know what, though? Like I said about that, you know, I haven't really got like a massive problem with the Arsenal players, and I'm sure that they would willingly do the guard of honour and all that, no issue. I don't think they should have to. You know what should happen? It should be fucking Troops and DT and all of these knobheads. Make them give us the guard of honour.
There'd be no room on the pitch at Anfield, Dave.
That's fine. We'd have a big guard of honour. Even if it goes right the way around the pitch. And
yeah, like a lap of honour.
That's fine.
A lap of honour.
Yeah, do that. That's what should happen. Like, and we should even pay for them to come and do it. You know, they don't even have to do it out of their own pocket. We'll pay for it. Fucking Troops, get out your Mars basement and fucking get there and give us a guard of honour. It's it.
You'd have Jabrone's like Gooner for Life 89 on the field though as well, wouldn't you? Like him and his 3 social media followers.
Did you see Troops yesterday?
No.
Like, his latest
So
meltdown.
bad.
So during his meltdown, he sat there in his fucking Mars basement just yelling at his computer, and he's fucking screaming at the Arsenal players, but specifically Calafiori. And he just keeps saying, "You'll never amount to nothing. You're going to do nothing. You'll never amount to nothing." I'm like, Calafiori's probably on like 150 grand a week. He's playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
His beard's an Italian model.
Best
He's
looking player
probably
in the
got like
league.
Lamborghini, Ferrari. He's probably got all of these cars in his garage. He's a handsome bastard as well. He's got all of this going for him, and you're there in your Mars basement shouting, "You'll never amount to nothing, blood." It's like, oh my god, no sense of irony whatsoever. It was ridiculous. Like that guy is just not all there. There's something just well off about him.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Stu, what type of team do you think we're picking on Wednesday night? Do you think we ride with Cody comes back in maybe, or Robbo gets a break, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, maybe Cody comes back in. I think I'm trying to wait up now whether he. Obviously, it'll depend who's in, the red zone for fitness and all that stuff. But with there being a big gap after it, you do wonder whether he just tells them all to go one last time, and whether he doesn't really rotate it that much.
Why is the gap? Is it FA Cup weekend or is it international?
FA Cup,
No.
internationals,
Is it?
both.
Yeah, FA Cup, then internationals.
Okay.
And the fact that we're missing league fixtures because, like, we would have had the Villa game, but we're playing the League Cup final.
Yeah, we've essentially only got Southampton. We got Southampton, the 2 PSG games, and Newcastle in the League Cup final in March. But then April's not a cakewalk, but there's some pretty decent games in April for us. There's like, I think I remember right, it's West Ham, Leicester, Tottenham at our place. There's quite a few games that you think we've got. This was the tough bit.
Yeah,
this
that's
was the
what
tough
everyone
bit.
said, wasn't it? Get through this.
We were looking at it and we were going, how many points would you take? Would you take 11 from the 5 games? Would you take 10?
Yeah.
And, what have we got so far?
What did we
out of
get?
it now?
I know I said I'd
Two
take 4 from the last 2, and we did that. So
8, isn't it now? 2 wins, 2 draws. That's, that's
So,
fine.
Bournemouth 2-0, 3.
Not the Bournemouth one. It was
Everton.
the.
Oh, it was
It was the 5 after Bournemouth. Everyone was looking at and going, "What would you take from the 15 there?" Because I remember we had a chat.
Bournemouth away is more difficult than like most of these.
Oh yeah,
other
it
games.
was. Yeah. It was because these were all crunched together, wasn't it? But that Bournemouth win's a big win. But yeah, you've got
so
through this
we have
period.
8.
Yeah, which is like real difficult graft. You City in there, just tough games, and you've come out extending the lead, which
And
you couldn't have asked.
And
you
Stu,
couldn't
we
ask
said
for
that
more.
we would. We said that we take 4 points from Villa and City away. That was in full knowledge that Arsenal were going to beat West Ham at home as well.
Yeah.
Like, effectively, we got like 7 points
Yeah.
from 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it feels.
It does.
It's just any doubts that we had are fading away. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe people are realising after this weekend how limited Arsenal are and how much of a struggle it is for them to get to where they've got to get to, and how badly we'd have to fall off for us to just creep over the line to where we get to.
We tried telling people.
Yeah, no, I know we did.
Also,
we even
said
did maths,
They
actual
hadn't,
maths.
they hadn't won more than 3 games in a row all season, and they still haven't. Because they went into that one yesterday on a run of 3 wins, and then they lost. So they still haven't won 4 games in a row at any point, but people were convincing themselves, they were talking themselves into it, that they could go and win like 9 in a row.
Yeah, I think we can be greedy
11
now
now.
and hope that like we can go into these Champions League games without having to run the legs off people in the Premier League. You know, if we get a couple of more wins under the belt, if we could beat Newcastle, beat Southampton. I mean, you're at the point there where you really are quite heavily rotating in April, I think.
Maybe Harvey will actually get some significant Premier League minutes at last. What did he get today? 4. That takes him to 79 for the season.
Jesus.
Well, the last time he got minutes, it didn't really help him, did it? So
That wasn't in the league, though, was it?
he'll need to do a bit better than that, won't he?
Yeah, the Plymouth game didn't do him any favours.
No.
Well, I mean, this seems like a decent time to come on to the European Cup draw. We got PSG. I saw a lot of people, you know, lamenting the fact that we got PSG. Like, they were fucking shit when they had Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. Like, I'm not fucking worried about them now.
Stu, you guys can feel that one. This is your favourite subject.
Yeah, they'll be better now because you're not playing 7 players. They'll be better because you play against a team where you haven't got 7 lads all running around looking at the 3 up top going, any chance, boys? No? Okay, we'll see if we can get the ball back for you. You stay up there, lads. I just think they're much more of a proper team now than when they had those 3 dickheads up there.
Yeah, but still. I mean, like, they're not on our level, are they? I don't think.
No, I think they'll be harder to beat now. They're a football team, and they're not like a fucking circus that's got 3 lads stood up top that don't want to do any graft. I think.
Yeah, where they finish in this? So like 14th, 15th, 16th.
Yeah. I think they were pretty good though. I think the their numbers were good. Like they were beating teams. They're performing well, but not quite getting the results that they should have got. I think there won't be a pushover. They've still got proper players. I think they'll. If they still had that front 3, I'd be, without even looking at what they've done this year, I'd just think we'd beat them because, yeah, they're just you can't play against us with three passengers. So, if that's not the case now, if they're a bit more of a less superstars but more of a team, then I think they'll be harder to beat than when they've rolled into town in the past.
Yep, I agree with that. Plus, Arno says they're not that good.
All right.
So, yeah, he said nothing to worry about. They're not that good. But I totally agree that at least they're a team now. So it will be a tougher game.
It is a shame.
I'll never be worried about a team in the French league ever.
And also, like, they won 10-0 on aggregate, so that was a bit of an eye opener. But again, Arno said like the second leg, Brest just left all the players out because they'd lost 3-0 in the first game, so they just gave it up.
Left themselves.
Brest
exposed.
just left them out.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Nice. You guys should have seen like. I mean, I'm sure the clips made them over there and stuff, but like Carragher and Thierry Henry and Mika Richards, like they've got license to do whatever they want on that Champions League show they have on CBS, and they went to town on the Brest thing. And there were so many times when Henry was just like he'd lift up his papers and just like put them over his face.
Yeah.
And Carragher and Mika Richards were just like going like I know they get a lot of shit. I enjoy that. Like that's a highlight of my like. That's one of the only times where I'll turn the football on like an hour early just to hear those lads fuck around with each other. And I'm not necessarily the most like banter focused guy out there, but I do find them like really funny. And it's good. It's nice seeing Cara like off that leash, where he has to be like a pro on Sky Sports all the time. And some might argue like push agendas. Like he just has fun on that, and he's super fucking entertaining. They do this thing called table time, where like at the end of every Champions League midweek, like some music will come on and Cara just does like a little dance and he just like leans into it. It's really fucking stupid, but it's also like really funny as well. So that's neither here nor there. I just enjoy the Champions League coverage that we had in there. And you guys get TNT, right? So maybe you guys should get VPNs for a change and tune into the American coverage.
Not good.
No.
Anything with Rio Ferdinand on, no.
Steve McManaman.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah. So, what's your predictions then for Newcastle?
2-1 win.
I'm going to go 3-1.
4-0.
4-0.
Wow.
Okay, that'll be nice.
Yep.
Wow. Let's go for
I
it.
think today is going to give us, our lads, like so much to believe, even the senior players in the squad, like just knowing what, they know that they've got this. I think Wednesday night will give them license to just, push further in that direction and get this wrapped up sooner rather than later. I feel really fucking good about everything.
Who do you think is going to win the contest of most fouls before they get booked? Maka or Joe Linton?
Joe Linton, he's undefeated. Maka is like
It's quite the contest.
sneaky good at that though. He does, I don't know. It must just be his face, mustn't it? Like the face he pulls just to protesting his innocence.
Yeah.
Maka does get away with a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
But Joe Linton's the master. That Gimenez is right up there as well, though, to be fair, the two of them.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, dudes. Anything else that you guys want to add from today before we call it a night?
No, nothing I can think
That's
of.
us.
Nice. Good day though, right? Like this is
Great
this
day.
is ace. What a weekend.
Yeah,
like
Today
so
was a
happy.
good day.
Yeah. I can't wait to get home, you guys, and just like get to the match and be around you guys and like knowing that we've got it. See, I've been waiting for this my whole fucking life. And I know like you probably have as well, Stu. You and I are a similar age.
Yeah.
Like obviously Dave saw a few titles in the 70s and stuff. So
Yeah, it's old as fuck.
but like
I'm
I'm just like
Paul?
waiting.
You saw
I'm just
Billy
waiting
Idol
for the
in his
opportunity
prime.
to But yeah, good times. This one feels really, really good today. So thank you all for listening so much. We appreciate you so much. This is awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Dave and the boys, I think you'll be back Thursday morning, right, mate? Because you'll all be at the game Wednesday night.
It'll be too late, yeah. Thursday morning.
Nice. So look for that in your feeds, maybe around lunchtime on Thursday. Are you going to put this up tonight, Dave?
Yeah, should do.
Nice. Just put a little bit of pressure on you then. So nice.
Giving him work.
Yeah, everybody who's waking up on Monday morning excited to listen to the pod, you'll have it in your feeds, ready to go for your commute and hopefully wasting time at the office. Thank you so much for listening. Newcastle Wednesday night, another chance to put another hand on the trophy. Until then, we'll catch you soon.